Greetings and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. This is a show that is dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So this is our Monday night look back at a classic rock album show that we do once every week. And I pick an album, sometimes mostly if I have something that's been around maybe two or 3 months, I will pick it from my playlist, or I pick something from my shelf. Normally that's what I do. So for this week we are doing this album. For those of you who are not familiar, this is In the Hearing Of by Atomic Rooster. Great album. Took a bit for me to get used to it. I never disliked it at the beginning. I guess if I was to say something about it, I would say I was a little bit disappointed at first because I had another expectation of what it would sound like, and it didn't sound like that, so I was a bit disappointed. But once I got over that, I began to realize this is a really, really good album. So it's called In the Hearing Of. You know, there's a little old lady on there with a earphone type piece stuck in her ear so she can hear you. And the group is called Atomic Rooster. So this group was the original group that Carl Palmer belonged to. Well, it wasn't his first group, but he belonged to this group, but he didn't stay very long with them. So what we have here is, this album was released in August of 1971, produced by Vincent Crane and Atomic Rooster, and the label was on Pegasus in the United Kingdom originally, Elektra in the United States originally, and then Philips in the rest of Europe originally. But since it was remastered, it's been on Repertoire from the 1990 and 1995 German remastered editions. So it featured on this album, of course, Vincent Crane on Hammond organ, keyboard bass, meaning that he played the bass on his keyboards, because there was no bass player in the band. Piano, of course, and then backing vocals. Jonathan Cain is the guitar player. Peter French was the vocals, and Paul Hammond was on drums and percussion. Oh, sorry, I'm way over there, I can't see it. So anyways, the original album had 8 tracks. This reissued one has 11. I just want to read something here. Yes, so the last 2 tracks, the 10 and 11 tracks, as I thought, were kind of live versions of the 2 of the songs that are on the album, and then the other track was a extra bonus song on the album. So overall with this album, let me put it down for a sec. Overall with this album, pretty strong album. Lots of really catchy guitar riffs. The piano was very dominant on this album as well. Lots of piano bits that are really catchy as well. Lots of Hammond organ on here. The vocalist is really strong here. His voice is perfect for what they're doing. I think I really like this guy's voice a lot. It's kind of a bluesy, scratchy voice, but really cool. And the drums are strong too. This guy may not be Carl Palmer, but he isn't too far off. Pretty solid drummer. And some of the guitar solos are quite good too. The album itself is labeled as rock, progressive rock, but really there are some progressive elements here, of course, but I find this to be a little bit more psychedelic than progressive. In my opinion, it has more of a psychedelic flavor. There are some bluesy elements to the album as well. The overall production of it is pretty good. It's not bad. Some kind of murky spots and some kind of maybe not so clear guitar and a little bit scratchy here and there on the album, as far as that that blending of the instruments is kind of murky in some areas, but it's not overall. It's not too bad. It's pretty solid considering it was released in '71. I think that's pretty good. Kind of the Hammond organs are very reminiscent of what you would find on Deep Purple and that kind of stuff. Actually, the group isn't all that different from Deep Purple. Some elements are similar. Anyways, so I'm going to talk a bit about the tracks. There's eight original tracks, and then, like I said, and there are 3 bonus tracks, two of which are live. Okay, so the first track on here, Breakthrough. This was probably the first song I liked, so it was the breakthrough for me on the album. So it's kind of the drums it opens with some drums and some really strong bluesy riff type piano, really solid. The vocals, of course, are very kind of bluesy. I apologize. I'm just really tired again, as always. So I was like, the blues is kind of a very bluesy voice that he has on this particular track, but it's solid. The piano was very dominant on this particular track as well, and some catchy riffs that he plays on the piano here as well. I find this to be a bit of a bluesy psychedelic track. I don't really think of it as a progressive track. So when I first heard this, I thought this was going to be progressive, and it's not really that, but it does have progressive elements on it though. The next song, one of my favorites on the album, maybe my favorite on the original album, Break the Ice. Really good organ opening at the beginning. Real catchy kind of guitar riff that comes in. French's voice is fantastic, of course, and the guitar solo is really good as well. Like, I really like the guitar solo in the song. Probably my favorite guitar solo on the album is on this track. So I gave this actually a 9. I don't normally give albums. A 9 is hard to get, and I gave 2 of them on this album. Decisions and Indecision is the next track. Another piano opening, another strong piano opening. The vocals are perfect for this song. I think his voice is perfect for the type of song this is. Kind of a mellow song with some catchy parts in it. Just a really good drum and piano bits here. The 4th track on side 1, which was what this was in the day, now this would be the 4th track on the CD, is called Spoonful of Bromide. Actually written Spoonful of Bromide on here, but the total name of the song is called A Spoonful of Bromide helps the pulse rate go down. That was the entire kind of original track name for the song, but they just reduced it to A Spoonful of Bromide. Another solid track here. Maybe the weakest song on the album, but not weak at all. Really like the drums on here. Nice piano, of course. Organ, really strong. Lots of really. I guess the reason that this might be, to me, the weakest track on the album is because of because it's an instrumental. There's no vocals on this. Some guitar keyboard bits that are alternating. So you get a little bit of a guitar solo, and a little bit of a keyboard solo, then a little bit of a guitar solo, then another little bit of a keyboard solo. There's a fairly continuous spot where that goes on. Pretty solid track though. So if you flip the album over, which is what we did in the days, you would get the next 4 songs. And the first one out of the gate, Black Snake. I love this song. It is so good, so psychedelic, and so mellow. The vocals are really mellow. I like the lyrics best. It tells a story about a snake living in a hole. I don't know, there's just something kind of really psychedelic about the song that just really, I find myself singing this song all the time at work. The next song out is called Head in the Sky. Starts with a kind of distorted guitar opening, followed by some real solid soloing. There's a real heavy riffing part that has this really catchy beat to it. I like that a lot. Hammond organ and vocals are pretty heavy on this as well. I think the Hammond organ, this may be the song with the most Hammond organ on it. I think it probably is. Really another solid track. This whole side is pretty solid, to be honest. The next song is called The Rock, sorry. I think it's called Just the Rock. Yeah, Just the Rock. Actually, no. It's called The Rock. That's what it's called. So anyways, real thunderous drums here. Some really good riffing by the drums. Like he's just playing this kind of overbeat over and over again. Pretty solid. Nice Hammond and bass support on this. Now the bass, of course, as you may remember from the when I was doing the what each person plays on the album, is being done by the keyboards. So he's not actually playing the bass guitar; he's playing it through the keyboards. So they don't actually have a bass player in the traditional sense of the word. But some nice guitar soloing here, some nice kind of psychedelic riffing as well. I think this is a pretty solid track too. Then we get to the final song on the original album, which has this real catchy riff with some really good keyboard and guitar parts in it. So it's a riff, but they're back and forth, the key and guitar, kind of similar to what they did earlier on when they were doing the alternating solo and guitar and like alternating key and guitar solos. Like really catchy too. Gave this song an 8, so really strong song. Then we come to the bonus track, which I also gave a 9. This wasn't on the original album. It's called Devil's Answer. Real heavy riff, really psychedelic. Just a really catchy song. I think this song is one of my favorite songs by the group. And since I only have the one album, it's pretty much at the top. It's probably my favorite track on the album, and it's not even originally on the album. So, and then you have two versions, a bit of a live version of Breakthrough, which is the opening track, and a little live version of Spoonful of Bromide, which is the track that we talked about earlier. What was it I was going to say about it? Spoonful of Bromide, that's the one with the super long title. So overall, I think this is a really, really good album. If you're looking for real clear sound and real clear production, this is probably not going to satisfy you. But for the most part, it's pretty good. You can hear mostly everything that's going on. Sometimes when the guitar comes in with the bass or with the piano, it kind of gets a bit murky in spots. But overall, pretty solid album. I think it's well produced. They put it in the orders they wanted to put it in. And there's no filler on this album at all, not in my opinion. I mean, maybe some people listen to it think this or that is filler, but I don't feel that way about the album. I think it's just all the songs are just a little bit different. They're not. It's not like you get with some albums where you have 3 or 4 of them that you're not sure. Oh yeah, what was that? That one was this one, and this one was that one, right? Trying to remember little bits and parts about it. I don't have that problem with this album. It's really songs are all a little bit different. All fall within the progressive field. A lot more psychedelia than I would have imagined on the album. Also, pretty hard guitar riffing on this and on certain tracks. And the piano, very dominant on this album. He's quite a good piano player. And so, of course, Vincent Crane is kind of the leader, holdout guy who was on almost everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. So if you did, please like and subscribe. It was a great deal of fun to do this album, and I hope you have some comments about it if you have any experience with it. If you haven't, give it a listen to. You may find yourself finding this really catchy as well. So anyways, have yourself a good night, and we will see you next Monday on Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. Goodbye.